Hey guys, Kenan here. So if you watched Nate and I made a giant foam machine, which was absolutely awesome. Check out the video if you haven't seen it. We were even able to make it glow. But my biggest qualm about this is that we had to use this fan that's way too expensive for someone like me to buy at home. So I'm gonna try and show you how you can make your own homemade foam machine for under $50 using just a leaf blower, assuming you already have a leaf blower. So the parts for this are super easy. I'm not a builder, I'm a scientist, I stare in microscopes all day, but Nate made it look so easy that I think even I can walk you through it. Essentially, I went to Home Depot this morning and picked up like $30 worth of PVC fittings, and this is what we're gonna use. Just these pieces here to make our frame to make our foam blower. I guess I'll walk you through the pieces that I got first, and most of these are, I think the most expensive piece was maybe $2. But we've got a 360 blower. I got 4 of these. So this is going to spray the water out. I've got a 1/2-inch adapter. So this is going to screw into each of these so that our blowers can fit into our PVC pipes. I've got a hose, which is a 3/4 inch piece, to a 1/2 inch piece adapter. Each of our corners is this 3-way adapter with a threaded piece that's going to fit our sprayer nozzle. So each of our sprayers are going to be on our corners like this, so we need 4 of them. We've got our 1/2 inch PVC pipe, and lastly, we've got a T-shape, which is what we're going to use to attach the hose to. So I like threaded, it's just easier to seal in, but you could also do an unthreaded fit if you wanted. So step 1 is that we want to fit this to fit over the edge of our leaf blower. So each of our corners is going to come around like this, and we're gonna fit all this in. Now before I start cutting everything, I think I'm just gonna assemble all of these pieces together, and then you can actually see the shape of it, and then the last step is just to cut the PVC pipe. And you may be wondering why I don't have any PVC glue. That's because our hose pressure isn't high enough to really bust anything apart, so we should be able to just fit all of this together, and then you can disassemble it and use it for something else later. So all that's left now is to cut our PVC pipe into just small sections that'll fit into this. So I'll just mark how long this depth is and make those cuts. This. All right, this is our basic frame. So this is our barrel of our leaf blower just disconnected. The idea is that it's going to go this way. So the water will squirt out of here. We'll have it covered with our t-shirt, which will allow the foam to be made out of there. And then I also added this little handle here so that I can take another piece of PVC pipe and stick it in like this. So essentially, I kind of have a lever to hold as I'm spraying. So we built our frame, but I realized that we had a little bit of a hiccup in the fact that unlike with our blower, our fan blower, which fit perfectly onto there, we've got a lot of space here, so it's not gonna be firm. So I decided to run back to Home Depot, and I bought another piece of PVC pipe and a cap so that we can use this to make a lever, or I guess more of a handle, so we can just hold it like this. So I think this will work well. I actually like having it able to rest on my forearm. It makes this very easy and comfortable to hold. So I'm just gonna cut it back here a little bit. We'll cap it and see if we can get this to work. So I told you earlier we made this little setup that we didn't have when we made our foam maker with Nate. And I wanna see if it works. And Mark was kind enough to hint that if we flipped our bottle upside down, this would do a better job of feeding our soapy, foamy solution into this. So our problem was that as we turned the water pressure up, we started getting more water and less solution. So now I'm going to use this valve to see if we can control that water pressure a little bit as we feed it in there. I'm hoping that this works. This would be super cool. If it doesn't, then you will unfortunately need a sump pump in order to make pretty much the same water pumping system that Nate and I had. Let's see if this works though. The problem here is we don't get our tracer coming out. So we've got too much water pressure that's running through this. I just don't know how to make this work. I really want it to, but I guess we'll have to go to the sump pump. So trial number 2. So attempt number 2, my little contraption to feed our concentrated soap solution didn't quite work. So we're gonna go back to what Nate and I use. Sorry you guys, that means that you will need a sump pump if you're going to do this, but you can pick those up at the hardware store. So we've got our sump pump hooked up to a 6-foot extension of hose, which then has our valve on it again, running to another 6-foot extension of hose that goes to our frame. So we will drop this in. There's just some residual soap left in there, but this is gonna get our pump going. We just wanna make sure that our water pours out, and then we're gonna have the spray that we need to go through our membrane. So we'll stick our sump pump in. We should. Perfect. That's exactly what we wanted. Now we can blow that out. Hopefully, that'll be enough to make foam. The last thing we need to do is we need a membrane that's gonna act as a bunch of like thousands of miniature bubble blowers, bubble wands. So what we found worked really well in the big video is cutting a shirt in half, so you just have one stretch of this, and then we're gonna put that over top. So all we're doing to make foam is really just making a bunch of bubbles, and bubbles are pretty simple. Bubbles are made by essentially 2 layers of the soap molecule. So one layer is gonna face inside, and the inside of that layer is actually what traps dirt when you're washing your hands. But then there'll be a second layer that goes on the outside, and in between those 2 layers is a thin film of water. So our soap is gonna be trapping that water in there to make these bubbles. Now what we want to do outside of our soap is to make those bubbles grow as big and as thick as they can. So we're gonna add some J-lube and a little bit of cornstarch to add a little bit more viscosity to our bubbles. So lastly, we need to make our foam solution. And what I found has worked the best is a 16:1:1 ratio. So that's 16 tablespoons of Dawn soap to 1 tablespoon of lube. We're using J-lube, which is used for birthing cattle, like agricultural grade lube, but I'm sure that any KY jelly you would get from the store would work too. And then we're gonna do 1 tablespoon of baking powder, which is gonna give us more of that viscosity so that our bubbles stick together more and that they last longer without popping. So for 1 gallon, you can use 1 cup of soap, 1 tablespoon of lube, and 1 tablespoon of cornstarch. We've got 5 gallons here, so I'm gonna multiply that by 5. Okay, keep the electronics away. Oh no. We have foam. This is not a scoffable amount of foam to have made. Changing the amount of water that was coming out was definitely key. As I had so much water flowing out, you could see, I don't know if you could see where my hand was, but you had that blue watery goop that was just resting in the shirt. So as I dialed that down and kind of found like a happy medium, we got less of that and more bubble and less water that was pooling up in our shirt. I do still think that maybe having a bigger shirt will give us more air for it to breathe through. That might give us better results, but this is not bad. So we've got a lot of water that's still building up in there. We need to find out the right amount to like turn that nozzle. So the nice thing about the fan is that it's just a lot of air that's pushing out here. Not quite as much as we're generating with this little electric leaf blower, but a little bit of fine tuning. This is, I don't know, maybe 1/4 of what we just generated from that bucket. And I would say that that's still a good amount of foam. We made a pretty good portable foam maker. All the supplies together, minus the leaf blower, probably less than $100. I mean, we bought a lot of soap for that, but yeah, this is fantastic. All right guys, I hope you enjoyed this. We built a backyard foam blower. Maybe not as awesome as a $150+ fan one, but definitely an affordable one that you could add to your parties. Add it to a slip and slide, backyard birthday, whatever. This was a ton of fun. And I'd love to see how you guys can improve on this design. So let me know your thoughts in the comments, and until next time, I'll see you later.